Hi, welcome to the podcast, Shedrick.
Hey Asher, what's going on, man?
Doing pretty good. One question I like to ask every guest is, who do you say you are?
Man, that's a loaded question, Asher. Who do I say that I am? At one point, I said I was a little brown boy from a rural public housing area. And now I would say I'm a man growing. That's probably the best description of me. I'm a man growing. Been a lot of growth in my life for the last several years. And so I think that would probably be the best description off the top of my head. I'm a man that's growing.
I like that. And I guess speaking of growth, I see you've got the logo or the area code right there behind you. You've been growing a little business yourself, or just tell me a little bit about that. What is the 301
The
or the
931,
931?
it's okay. 931 is the area code in Clarksville, Tennessee. My major focus, especially during the summertime, is the Taste of Clarksville. It's a family friendly, um, food focused festival that happens the last Saturday of July every year. And that's a big event that we put on, and we've been doing that since 2021. We've been growing that the best that we can, and it's pretty much a collection of food trucks and caterers, confectioners and bakers, and then a few retail vendors sprinkled in that sell things like soaps and candles. And yesterday we had someone selling hats that she crafts from hand. We have politicians that show up and they talk about their platforms. Um, Roofing companies, gutter companies, they come out and they talk with people about services that they can provide. But it's just a great time. It's a great community event where everybody gets to come out, enjoy themselves, and man, lots of food, lots and lots of food.
Sounds pretty good for a summer event.
It is. We have a good time.
Awesome. So would you say you had a pretty good turnout yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday we had a couple thousand people out, and it's grown over the last 4 years. Our first year we had about 500. We grew to about 750 our second year, about 1,100 last year. So to grow to 2,000 over this year, man, that's pretty significant growth. And it was a great day. There's a few things that we do that are a little different from other festivals. In our area, there's a lot of like a best of and those types of things. But typically, those things are more online where people will vote online or vote pre-event, or even if they go to the event, they vote by putting tickets in a bucket. So it's more of a popularity contest. But we actually have judges from outside of our area that come in and they judge the food, and they make the determination of who has the best barbecue, who has the best hamburger, has the best hot dog, fries, the best dinner plate, the best seafood plate. We have a best vegan dish competition, so it's
Mm,
a fun time.
man. And where's Clarksville in relation to like Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis?
Yeah. So Clarksville is the fifth largest city in Tennessee, and we sit actually right on the border of Tennessee and Kentucky in
Mm,
the northwestern part. Now we say we're Middle Tennessee because we are, but we're in the northwestern corner of Middle Tennessee. We're about 45 minutes northwest of Nashville on I-24 on the way to St. Louis.
mm. Wow. And kind of going back to who you say you are, like tell me about that little brown boy growing up in the area. Did you grow up in Clarksville?
I sure did. We grew up in Clarksville. My stepfather was in the army, so we began to move around when I was 10 years old. But man, we're Clarksville born and bred. We're from here. The area that I grew up in was called Lincoln Homes. It was a public housing area. Um, we called it the bricks, and so I'm from the bricks, just a little brown boy from the bricks. And I remember being that kid, and how things felt for me there. I remember early on before going to school, I felt like it was the best place in the world. And then when I started school, we were bused in the early '80s from where we lived in public housing to in the name of integration, we were bused to the outskirts of town where we were integrated in school with some of the richest people in town, some of the old money. And so that's when I began to realize that we had lack
Mm,
in our family, or what we had financial lack. Because
right.
what we had in financial lack, I mean, we more than made up for in community and family, dynamics. And my childhood was very rich, man. Um, Felt a lot of love from my mother, my grandmother, my aunties, and my uncles. So it was a great time.
That's awesome. So I guess like how have things changed from that time when you were a little boy to now, like when you're basically putting on these events with thousands of people coming in and like mixing and mingling with each other.
I think one of the benefits I had with my stepfather being in the army and moving around is that I learned to adapt to many people. I
Mm,
learned to get along with a lot of people. I learned to connect with a lot of people. And so that's what this day is about. It's about connections. It's about, linking up customers with local businesses. And we do the best that we can for that. And it's a great time to celebrate my past, what's happening in my life now, and what could be happening in my life in the future. Like
mm.
I said, there's a little bit of everybody there.
Yeah.
Um, Food from different types of cultures, which we're in an area that's very culture rich. We are we share most of our spacing with a military complex, Fort Campbell, which is one
Mhm.
of the largest bases in our country. And so there's people from everywhere here. There's a lot of Koreans and there's Southeast Asians and there's a lot of Hispanics in our area, and that's definitely a part of the food in our area. And so, where there was someone that sold Brazilian lemonade yesterday, and
Mm.
there was someone that sold a bacon wrap hot dog, and there was someone that sold a pound and a half burger, and you had barbecue, and you had Jamaican food, and there's all different types of things there.
Yeah.
And this is a celebration of all those cultures melding together.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about that Tennessee barbecue. How do you guys do it up there?
In Tennessee, the barbecue sauce is a little sweet,
Mm,
and it's more of a red or maroon sauce. Where some places you got a white sauce, some places you got a thicker or a thinner sauce. And I've seen both thick and thin sauce here in Tennessee.
mm,
The definitely the barbecue place in Tennessee is Memphis,
mm.
and they kind of distinguish themselves in their barbecue away from other places
Gotcha.
in Tennessee.
Right.
There's also you got the Jack Daniels influence, and so there's some whiskey infused barbecue,
Mm,
and some bourbon infused barbecue. I don't necessarily barbecue as much as I used to, but
yeah.
I do make a bourbon glaze that I put on a brown sugar bourbon glaze that I put on salmon and other meats.
Man, that sounds good.
And man, it's good. It's really good.
I might have to see about either getting your recipe or maybe coming through sometime, be like, okay, hey, I need a little bit of this for the for some seasoning, just on the
Yeah,
week or during the weekend.
we can do both, man. I'm not stingy with that recipe. I can give that one away. There's a couple
Awesome.
others that I won't, but I can give that one away.
Got you. It's pretty cool, man. It's been a minute since I been to Tennessee, but I kind of the first time I came to America, we lived in Cleveland, Tennessee, which is like
Okay.
central South Tennessee,
Yeah,
just outside
most
of
of everybody knows
Knoxville.
it. Hmm.
And then from there, moved down to Dalton, Georgia, and grew up for the most part in Dalton, Georgia, from like fifth grade to 12th grade, and then went to college around Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah,
But
Cleveland, Tennessee, Dalton, Georgia are pretty much the same area.
yeah,
Yeah, from about 30 miles from a major metro. Obviously, Chattanooga is a major metro and Atlanta is a major metro are
yeah,
two completely different things. But you're about 30 miles from the amenities, a little bit rural. But yeah, Cleveland, Tennessee is a nice little town.
mm. It's funny because I guess you always kind of remember the places you've been in life. And I remember obviously my younger brother was born in Cleveland, Tennessee, and then
Mm.
my middle sister went to school in Chattanooga. Oldest sister went to school at Lee University, and then my oldest brother
Okay.
went to school at Knoxville. So
Okay.
it's like that'd be maybe like the closest. I know being in Georgia is like you can't really be a Tennessee fan, but it's like when I was younger, we went to like a or maybe my first year of college, we went to a Georgia Tennessee game, and we were kind of trying to sneak in there going into Athens with like all the Georgia fans. It's like, well, we're not really wearing any memorabilia, so we'll
Yeah.
go in and we'll get out, so it won't be too bad.
If you've never experienced SEC football or college football in the South, it's something different. Man.
Mm,
It's something different, and so that's deep into it. Georgia, Tennessee is deep into it.
yeah, and I guess with it, honestly, we're sitting here at the end of July going into August. And once August is coming around, football season's coming. Either it's like college football's in August, September, you'll have professional football starting. And it's just like something changes a little bit in the air. Even with high school sports down here in South Georgia, where I'm at, Valdosta is known for having a rich, like, college high school history where there's a town over here called Moultrie, Georgia, and they call their stadium like the pig pen. And it's like
Mm,
we're going to go watch the Friday night game at the pig pen, and people get all into it. They get excited, and it's neat to see how these different communities have their traditions and things like that that they do. And a lot of communities and people like to get around that. And it really, like you talked about with the event that you just put on, it's a good way for people to mix and mingle. You get to know your neighbors, you get to know who you're around, the people that you work with, what they enjoy, and you kind of have things in commons that you both look forward to.
yeah. So actually, one of my hobbies, I'm a PA announcer, a public address announcer
Hmm.
for a local high school. And I
Right.
announce both football and basketball. And the fall is something different. You can feel a crispness in the air.
Hmm.
It's just different, man. Um, and it's a good time, and everybody becomes an expert at everything, especially around high school football, whether it's, they know how to call plays better,
Right.
from the offensive or defensive standpoint, even down to they know what music to play
Hmm.
from the sound booth, or they know how to say things better than the PA announcer. So it's
Right.
very interesting. All the assistance I get
Yeah.
as a PA announcer from the stand. So and I can't hide from them. I'm sitting right above them, and
Yeah.
some of them are within striking distance of me. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, but it's people take high school football seriously in this area.
And that's
Um,
what's up. And I guess with it, you're almost like, I hadn't thought about it till you just mentioned it. With being a PA announcer, you're almost like a DJ for the games, because you have to know the players on the roster. Or
yeah.
do you do like the play-by-play call? Is it just you, or do you have any assistants in there?
So I do the play-by-play during the game, but it's a
Mm,
little different than the play-by-play that you may see on TV or that you may hear on the radio, especially the radio. The radio, they have to paint the whole entire picture.
mm,
Me being the PA announcer in the stadium, I'm just saying, what just happened,
right.
because everyone in the stadium saw it. And
Mm,
so, if there's a run, that's for 8 yards, let's say, hey, 8 yard gain,
mm,
ball is on the 32 yard line.
right.
Whereas on the radio, you have to describe, was it off tackle or
Mm,
end around, who ran the ball, all those things. And, there's a lot more description that you have to do for the radio broadcast or
mm,
even television broadcast than you would do, in game, in stadium. And so I think my job may be a little bit easier than theirs, but I
yeah.
have other challenges that they don't have. Like, for example, choosing what song to play when we score,
Mm,
or choosing, how to set the mood when we're on offense and when we're on defense. There's
mm,
certain songs I play, for third down. There's certain songs I play and certain intonations I put in my voice when we do different things. And so,
right. So you're
it's
almost like a conductor out there.
yes. And so it's my job to control the crowd.
Mm,
And I don't think everyone understands that. That's what the DJ does.
yeah.
They controls the crowd. So if you're in a nightclub and DJ is playing a certain type of music, it will invoke a certain type of attitude.
Mm,
If you see a bunch of people come in and look like they're going to cause trouble, that might not be the time to play 3 6 Mafia's Tear the Club Up. You may not want to do that. You
right.
may want to slow it down a little bit. You may want to play, some Pharrell Happy
Mm,
or some old Will Smith, happy rap,
yeah.
as opposed to, playing the trap or the gutter music if you don't want to cause problems. Or if you want the crowd to get rowdy, then that's what you play.
Yeah.
So that, so I have to kind of choose those things wisely. And then I have the added effect that it's a high school game with
Mm,
families and people of all ages, right?
right.
So I have to make sure that the music that I play is appropriate for all ages. So, man, I'm go deep into the bag with the gospel hip hop and the gospel rap,
Okay.
um, the pop hits and those types of things. So
Got you. So you'll play it during the game.
yeah, there's some times during the game you have to be sensitive. You don't want to play music when the play's in and going. You have
Right.
to make sure you stop a few seconds before the ball is snapped and those types of things. Both for offense and definitely for defense. If you're at home, you
Yeah.
don't want to, play music over the opponents, because then your team can get a penalty.
Right,
So you got
right.
to make sure that you kind of pay attention to those things. And then you have to coordinate with the band to make sure you're not playing over the home band, especially.
Mm,
So you kind of have to, this, like you said, I'm a conducting an orchestra, making
yeah.
sure things run smooth and flow.
How'd you pick this hobby?
I enjoy sports.
Mhm.
Um, and a mentor of mine, he was an assistant principal, said, "Hey, I think you could do this. I think you would do well with this. Why don't you give this a shot?" And I
Mm,
did, and I had a good time with it. And it melded from just football to football and basketball. So I have a good
mm.
time. I do all the football games. I do the home boys and girls basketball games.
That's awesome. I think back, my neighbor throughout, I want to say high school, maybe middle school and high school, because like we lived one place in Dalton, then we moved maybe when I was in 10th grade. But he was the PA announcer for the high school. And I think on the side, like he was also like a professional DJ, because with that, it always seems that you guys, I don't know if they call them disc jockeys, but like people that would DJ on the side, they have like the equipment and different things that come with it. And it's like obviously the games only happen once a week or on the weekend, and you only have so many games. So then other times, I think he was doing it full time. So then he would have other things that he would kind of plug into, whether it would be wedding events and things like that. And oh, it was just it was neat to see like how, like you say, that person is letting you know what's going on in real time, and then how they just like get people excited, like, okay guys, like here's what's going on, it's third down and it's this, and it's like, okay, wow, like, and then seeing, like, just seeing someone like that do it. I think we've kind of talked about it before, where we come from a similar background, and you see that someone in your position may have a longer career, or like a longevity, where you see all the players that come in and year out,
Yeah.
and someone may not think about it as like, oh, this would be like a long-term thing that I could do, but it's like that's that's just something that spoke to your interest, and someone asked you to do it and you were willing to, and you had the capacity to do it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I don't have equipment, and so the school has equipment for both football and basketball, but
Nice.
definitely the connections with the kids.
Mm,
There's kids that I've called their games, and man, it's pretty special to see me call, to know that I call their games, and then a few years later, I see them on television playing for the University of Tennessee or
wow.
playing for the University of Louisville. There's kids that play overseas that I've called games for, and G League players and those types of things you know, for basketball. And we're not quite there yet, but we're getting very close to having NFL players that I've called games for. So it's pretty interesting. I've been doing it for about 8 years, and so you got to give them time to kind of matriculate through high school,
Mhm.
matriculate through college, and then get to the point where they're eligible for the professional level. But yeah, it's pretty fun.
Gotcha.
And when the kids come back home, and I get a chance to see them and see how they've grown, and see the facial hair or those types of things with the kids, man, it's different.
Yeah.
These are my babies. These little nephew, little niece, and now that they're adults, they're in a different space in their life. It
Yeah.
reminds me how long I've been doing it, but it also reminds me that the life continues on, right?
Mm.
And it's pretty cool to see that.
You get some people coming back with the bass in their voice a little bit. It's like, hello, sir. It's like, who are
Yeah,
you?
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, coming back with kids, I'm like, hold on, what's really going on? Yeah, all those types of things. Yeah,
That's what's
and
up.
it's funny. One time they'll come back and say, hey, this is my girlfriend, this is my boyfriend.
Mm.
Hey, this is my wife, this is my husband. We getting married. You should come to the wedding.
Yeah.
And then the baby announcement. It's like, okay, wow, yeah, life really happens, right?
Yeah. It's funny because I think back to an episode I did with a family friend of mine, and he mentioned how, like, becoming an adult, it's almost like you still progress in life, but you almost stop to a point. And I think you kind of see it in movies where like the adult or the parent, they're the same age, but then you get like a younger actor to play the younger person, and then you see them kind of progress through it. But it's like once the adults become the adults, they kind of wait for the kids to grow up and catch up to become more adults. And they're like, okay, hey, you're part of the group now. Welcome to the club. Here's how things are here. And just seeing people kind of come into their own is a pretty neat thing to see.
Asher, we haven't talked about it yet, but I'm also a professional Santa.
Mm,
And so I've been doing that since 2020. So none of the kids I've been a Santa for have grown to that point. But it's pretty cool to see the side by sides from when I had them when they were two, and then
mm,
they were three, and then they were four. That's pretty interesting to see those, to see the little babies because they change so much in a year.
right.
When at one point they're an infant in your arm, and then the next year they're able to walk, and the next year they're talking and running around and having a conversation with you. That's pretty cool to see that too.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. How did you become a Santa?
That's interesting, Asher. Um, when when my kids were younger, they're
Mm,
17 and almost 22 now. We actually didn't talk about Santa. We talked about mom and dad loving on you enough that we want to give you some extra things aside
mm,
from your needs. We want to, just bless you and love on you. And this is a time where we do that as a family. We
right.
bless each other and love on each other a little bit more with gifts, right? But in 2020, when the George Floyd situation happened and a lot of different things were going around, I
Mm,
just felt like it was a time in our lives where we needed to see positive images of Black men.
mm,
And who's a more positive image than Santa, right? I
right.
felt like representation matters. And, you know, I feel like Black children need to see Black doctors, Black attorneys, they need
Mm,
to see Black teachers, and they also need to see Black men in positions where they're joyous and benevolent
right.
and they're having a lot of fun. And that was a way for me to do that and give back and do that. And so that's something that we've enjoyed doing for the last. This will be our fifth season this year.
Wow.
And it's been a good time. It's been very interesting
Yeah.
to kind of see what happens in this space.
So it seems like you really took the opportunity of the pandemic and tried to make the most out of it that you could.
Yeah, my earliest pictures of me in my Santa suit also have a mask on, and so yeah, so there's lots of pictures of me with Santa mask, and then because of the moderate climate that we live in, there's pictures of me in a Santa mask outside because we didn't have to be also inside, and
Mm,
so there were lots of photo opportunities that happened outside because that was the time that we were living in.
right.
And so it's pretty cool again to see those contrast those pictures with some of the more recent pictures.
Yeah. Wow. So I guess as you've kind of gone through this, like living in the city in which you grew up, being a military kid, being able to move around a bit, like did you ever leave Clarksville and come back with your dad being in the military? And
Yeah, absolutely.
gotcha. And then I guess was it always the plan to come back, or did you fall in love with any of the places that you visited?
We visited. We lived in Kansas first,
Mm,
Fort Riley, Kansas, in the middle of nowhere.
mm,
There's actually a billboard that says you are exactly in the middle of the United States, very close to where we live. So that was
wow.
in Fort Riley, Junction City, Kansas. And then from there, we moved to Germany. At the time, it was West Germany because
Mm,
this was back in '88 when we moved there. We lived in West Germany. I'm not sure, maybe some of your younger viewers don't understand that Germany used to be two countries. At
mm,
one point, there was East Germany and West Germany. And Berlin was two cities. There was an East Berlin and a West Berlin. Um, East Germany and East Berlin were communist,
mm,
and West Germany and West Berlin weren't. They were more democratic, and so that's we lived in Hanau, West Germany, which is in central Germany on an army base there. We loved that. We were so close to everything. Where you talked about living in Cleveland, Tennessee. That
mm,
was 2 hours. That's 2 hours from where I live.
mm.
Knoxville is 4 hours from where I live. Memphis is 3 hours from where I live. And that's
Wow.
all in the same state.
Right.
In Germany, if you travel 3 hours by car, you've crossed three countries
Mm,
because Europe is so compact, right?
right.
And so their countries are the sizes of a lot of our states.
Mm,
And so we saw a lot of different things. I went to the Alps and I went to Berchtesgaden, which was one of Hitler's hideouts.
mm,
And I saw France and I saw Holland, I saw London. And so it was easy to get to lots of different places, and that's definitely a place I would like to visit again. Take my family to see Europe. And then we lived in Akron, Ohio. That's where I graduated high school, actually,
Hmm.
in Akron, Ohio.
Gotcha.
Um, and so I didn't know at the time, but when I graduated high school, I didn't know at the time as we were moving around that I would come back to Clarksville. But when I graduated high school, I definitely knew I wanted to be back in the South.
Mm.
I did not enjoy, the lake effect snow and the cold weather in Northeast Ohio. Man, that was way too cold, actually. Um, it would be so cold that, you stand out on the corner at the bus stop and your nose hairs freeze.
Mm.
And then a gust of wind comes by and those frozen nose hairs break off and now you're bloody nose and you're cold. I
Ooh.
didn't like that at all. I remember wearing a triple fat goose with the hood and the fur around the face. It's like, nah, this is crazy. Why do I have to live like this?
Right.
And so I moved back to the South and moved into Nashville, where I started college at Tennessee State.
Mm.
And then I transferred colleges back to home in Clarksville, and I finished school at Austin P. So I had both the HBCU
Mm.
experience and the PWI experience. So
Mm. That's pretty cool.
that's a long answer to this short question.
I
Did I
like
ever
long
think I would move
answers.
back to, did I ever think I would move back to Clarksville? But yes.
Gotcha.
And when I was here, I thought actually as I was graduating college that I would be moving away,
Mm.
and decided I wanted to stay here to be with the woman I love. So
Mm. How'd you meet your love?
man, at church, she attended the church where we went to,
Mm.
um, and it was at a time where I said, man, there's no way I want to deal with any of these church girls. But she slipped in there and she caught me during the Christmas break. And so all the other girls I was dealing with,
Mm.
they were home for Christmas. And so she was able to slip in there. So
Mm.
by the time they came back home from Christmas break, I had to tell them, look, man, we gotta, you know, I got somebody now that wants me to be with just her.
Mm.
And that's what I'm gonna choose to do.
Gotcha.
We'll kind of go from there. So that's a whole nother story for another time.
She took you out of the game. You're like,
Hey
got
man, she
I
retired
gotta
the jersey.
retire. I
She
gotta
retired the
retire.
jersey. She sure did. Traced it, put it in a frame, said, "Nah, we done." So yeah,
That's what's
absolutely.
up. So you guys met in while you were in college?
Yeah, I was still in college. Yeah,
Gotcha.
we met.
Nice.
I guess I was maybe 20 or 21.
Oh wow.
Got married when I was 24. She was 25.
Nice. And so you've been at it for a minute.
Yeah, we've been married 23 years. 20,
Congratulations.
yeah, 20, it'll be 24 in March. Actually, we met and began talking and having conversations on her birthday, and then
Hmm.
we got married on my birthday.
Hmm.
So
Wow. It's a beautiful story. Like you said, like just going back to the community and needing to see positive images. I think that's the thing that it can get missed at times, but I think especially with what I follow on social media and different things like that, and also try to focus on what I put out is it's um it's positive to see more light, and even as different stories come out and more people are getting re-educated on things that they weren't aware of before, it's like, yeah, like we're doing pretty good in life. And even if things don't always feel sweet or look sweet, it's like there's good eats, like you can eat good food, like you can live a good life, you can build a better life if your life isn't good. And having that examples to look at, I think is something positive to see. Like, I don't know if anybody would know that, oh, hey, like I'm meeting a Black Santa Claus today who's also a PA announcer, who's also a community facilitator, bringing in different businesses, farmers, um, people that have food trucks, business developers, the mayor, community, different things like that. It's like, yeah, these things happen in real time, even if it feels like maybe I didn't ask you that. Like, what led you to do the Taste of Clarksville in the 931?
yeah, so the Taste of Clarksville again. I felt like coming out of the pandemic, there were a lot of food trucks, a lot of local businesses that needed to connect with customers.
Mm.
People had pandemic PPP loan money, they had other funds,
Mm.
and they were spending them in other places. And
Mm.
I felt like, is there a way that we can capture these dollars in our community, and they can be recycled here in Clarksville? And so that was born out of you know, trying to connect the local businesses with the local customers in a
Gotcha.
real and tangible way. Um, there's food trucks that have been with me all 4 years. Well, there's actually one in particular, a company called LA Street Dogs.
Hmm.
And LA Street Dogs, they came to me. We were one of their first events, and they used a tent. It
Hmm.
wasn't even a branded tent. There was just a tent that they had, and they used a tent, and they had a griddle, a standing griddle that they used outside, and they grilled the hot dogs, and they
Hmm.
won our best dog competition.
Hmm.
And then next year they upgraded from just a griddle to one of the Blackstones,
Hmm.
and they used the Blackstone for the last 2 years. Yeah, for the last 2 years. And
Yeah.
then this year they pulled up in their food truck.
Hmm.
And so each year they're growing, they're getting better, based upon not just our event, but with our event, we also promote the companies year round. And
Right.
so we do most of the work that we do isn't just the event day, it's the social media promotions for them, over the course of the year. And so every time they go out or they're set up somewhere, we have them let us know so that we can tell the community where to go find them.
Hmm.
And so our Facebook and our Instagram pages are a source for people in the community to come and find out where these businesses are. And so to see LA Street Dogs grow from an unbranded tent to this year again having a food truck,
Hmm.
next year maybe there'll be a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And that's the goal, to see them, move from where they are to where they need to be. And that's why we never call them small businesses.
Hmm.
Man, it's so tempting to do that. But I call them local businesses because when they're no longer small, that doesn't
Hmm.
mean we kick them to the curb.
Right.
We need them to continue to grow. We need them to continue to be available for other people to learn from. And so they're local businesses, but we don't want them to stay small. Walmart was a small business at one point,
Hmm.
not anymore, but they were a small business at one point. I can remember, the Walmart stores and everything in there was made in the USA.
Yeah.
And then they've morphed into this behemoth now, right? And so, again, I'm looking for some of these businesses at some point to grow into a behemoth where there's
Hmm.
locations all over the place. And man, that would make me proud to say that this local business that rocked with me in the early days, has grown to something that is beyond, what they were in the beginning.
Right. Wow. And I guess like what motivated you to say, I want to connect these businesses with um their customers? Like what would you get out of that?
You see the gaps,
Mhm.
and so I was just trying to bridge the gap. What I get out of it, is further connection. Um, for example, there's a vendor that we use, that comes to our event, and she sells soaps,
Mhm.
beard oils, and beard butters, and all those types of personal care things that I need.
Mhm.
I don't charge her to come to my event, and in exchange, we barter for my personal care packages.
Mhm.
And so yesterday, when I get home, I'm able to, throw a eucalyptus shower steamer in the bottom of my shower
Mhm.
and use eucalyptus soap on the massage bar,
Mhm.
and clean myself. And
Right.
those are personal care products that I'm going to have to buy at some point in time in the year anyway. Right? And so I can use my love soaps. And man, I enjoy every time we get to the event where she gives me this package.
Mhm.
I'll probably do an unboxing at some point, but I get this package every time with all of my stuff in it.
Mhm.
And she's catered some things to me as my beard has grown. We talked about the products that I need for my beard, and
Mhm.
Love Soaps keeps me squared away. I'm making sure my beard products are where they're supposed to be, and that's important
Right.
because from November to December, Santa's beard's got to be right.
Right. Right.
But that doesn't happen just in November, December. I got to make sure my beard is healthy in March. My beard is healthy in June and July, and
Mhm.
she helps me to do that because of her products. And so that's one of the benefits I get out of it is that I
Yeah.
get a chance to, connect with these businesses, and I get some products for not for free but bartered out,
Right.
right? But the biggest part is that I strengthen my personal community.
Right.
There's 80 vendors that I can talk to about business, and I can connect with other people with business. And I had a phone call the other day, from someone that I met, in my past that said, "Hey, I've got an event. We need a food truck. Can you connect them with this?" Well, the
Mhm.
community that they live in now is one of the wealthiest communities in the country. just south of Nashville, the Brentwood, Cool Springs, Williamson County area, um, Franklin, Tennessee. And so, they asked for me, for my assistance with that, and I can offer my assistance. We'll set somebody up that's going to grow their business exponentially due to this connection.
Right. That's amazing. Hey, I guess, like you said, Santa has to have the right beard. You can't have Santa with the patchy beard. That's not a good
Yeah.
look.
Santa's beard's gotta look nice.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
awesome.
have Santa events and requests year round. I was in Memphis on Beale Street in March.
Oh
And
wow.
then last weekend I was on a radio show. And then on Saturday I was at a photo shoot.
Mhm.
Um, and so Santa can't slack on his beard at any point in time. He's got to be ready to go.
And how are you able to balance all of these things with like doing the events during the summer, having the when the school season starts, you got to put time in for that. You have to have time for your family and different things like that. Like how have you been able to manage these different things and maybe juggle these different plates?
So Asher, some of the family time is time doing these things.
Mm,
For example, my wife is instrumental in Taste of Clarksville. My daughter is the assistant director. My son helps us to set up every day, every year for that event. I take my son and my daughter with me sometimes on
mm,
my Santa gigs. My wife goes with me to some of the gigs um, for Santa. My daughter is going to assist me this year with an event where we got to set up the set, and so we kind of include those things.
mm,
My wife is a cosmetologist, and so a lot of times when she's out of town for classes and things like that, I'm the driver. I'm there to accompany her on these out of
mm.
town trips, and so we kind of meld those things into our life together.
Very smart. And how do they enjoy them, especially being like community oriented, family type event, family friendly events?
It's a mixed bag. There's times where they really enjoy it. There's times like, Dad, this is too much on us.
Mm,
Or there's times where she's like, and my wife is like, I just kind of want to be in the background. I don't want to be out front. And so we kind of have to adjust, and I have to be patient with them and
mm,
flexible with them, and not push them into things that they don't necessarily want to do, but
right.
invite them and find a way to include them without forcing them to do things that they're not comfortable doing.
Mm.
For example, a lot of people ask, "Is your wife Mrs. Claus?" That's not what she wants to do, and so she doesn't get to be Mrs. Claus. But also, I don't have a Mrs. Claus for mine,
Right.
because I don't want. I'm not going to sit anybody else in that seat. Nobody
You
else
retired the
deserves that
jersey.
seat but
The,
her.
the jersey's retired.
The jersey retired. Nobody else gets that seat. So,
Very smart.
but she, again, she doesn't want to be Mrs. Claus, and I'm not going to ever force her to be.
Right.
She's too young and fine for that anyway.
So, what's something you're looking forward to this week?
This upcoming week, a
Mm,
little bit of relaxation.
mm,
Once the event was over last night, like I said, I came home, I got my eucalyptus shower, and
mm,
then I sat in front of the TV watching Olympics coverage with my feet in a foot bath,
mm.
the candle going, and I was eating a little bit of curry chickpeas last night from one of the vendors at
Ooh,
our event. Man, delicious, delicious. And she's authentic Jamaican, and so it was really, really good.
nice. I guess what's the I guess that would be like you said, part of the calm down. Like, how do you is that kind of the self-care routine that you've built into your process to be like, okay, we have an event, you got a lot of things going on, different people to see and things like that. And when you get back home, you're like, okay, we gotta dial things back a little bit.
Yeah. And so in the past with this event, at the end of the event, me and my team have had to put away tables and chairs and kind of do all those things. And we were laughing yesterday because we got home before dark.
Mm,
And in the past, we've not gotten home before dark.
yeah.
We changed our venue this year, and the new venue we were able to work into our contract that they would do the setup and cleanup.
Mm,
And so at the end of the event, once all the vendors were gone, we were able to leave and get home before dark. And so that was critical. And that's something that we're definitely going to implement moving forward. We cannot use a venue that doesn't agree to do the cleanup at the end of the event. Even
right.
if we got to pay extra, I will gladly pay it extra.
Yeah.
Because I also got 8 hours of sleep last night. That doesn't always
Awesome.
happen.
Right.
So, I had an event all day long, got up at probably about 4:30 or 5
Mm,
yesterday. Um, had a prayer call and then had the event. All day long. The event was from noon to 5. We were on site at about 8 a.m.
mm.
And but was able to leave before 6 and was at home pulling into the driveway at 6 p.m.
Wow.
Which was pretty cool to be able to do that. And then, like I said, I came in, got a shower, and then got my feet in that foot bath.
Mm,
It was really cool to be able to get in bed by 10 and not have to get up until 8 hours later today. It was,
man, that's awesome.
that's one thing I do is kind of try to make sure I get as much sleep as I possibly can, even if it
Yeah,
means I got to get a nap during the middle of the day
right.
because of my schedule. I love to work out. I got to be outside. Um, I've got to ingest some sun,
Mm,
both from the sun rays and then with the food that I eat.
mm,
Just learned a lot about foods that help to heal the body and help to center me and help to energize me when that's necessary. Um, so those are ways that the foot bath is really cool for me. Um, I'm not to the point where I'm willing to go get a pedicure yet because my feet look but I can, do some things with my feet at the house.
gotcha.
The foot bath and massaging my feet and those types of things. And then, enjoying some of the things that I like. I love to watch a game.
Mm,
To be able to sit and watch a game or part of a game
yeah.
in a relaxed situation. That helps to recharge me as well. And then connecting with brothers like yourself, like our connection call every Sunday on the M series,
Mm,
the coaching, those types of things. That's helpful. And then connecting with the prayer line each morning. Um, Man, I don't know how I did without it.
right.
Now that I'm connected in this way with the prayer line, I don't know how I was able to be any type of anything for anybody
Mm,
without being able to connect with brothers in the way that we connect, being as vulnerable as I. And that's probably why I made some of the mistakes that I made.
mm,
It's because I wasn't able to be vulnerable. I wasn't able to kind of bounce ideas. I wasn't able to get practical advice from real people who do on a daily basis.
yeah. I guess what did you do before when you didn't have a community or like
I don't know.
people to lean on?
I don't know, Asher. I made a bunch of mistakes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I made a bunch of mistakes. Really hurt some people in my life that I'm close to.
Mm,
Did some hurting on my wife. Did some hurting on my kids. Um, didn't function well.
mm,
So, just to be honest,
yeah. And like being as how would you say, are you more health conscious now, like post pandemic than pre pandemic? And if so, why?
yeah. So I had a stroke in 2021. I had a stroke and a heart attack in September of 2021 at 44 years of age.
Mm,
Weighed about over 340. I got some photos from the pandemic where you can see how fat my face was even behind a mask,
mm,
right? And so as a result of that, that scared me a lot. And so I had to make some changes. So I've changed my diet in lots of ways, changed my fitness level
mm,
and my activity level and those things. Now that I'm doing that more, I feel so much better, man. And those are things that help me to recover. I promise you, um, had I not had the recovery and those types of things that I've had, yesterday would have been horrible for me.
mm.
I wouldn't have been able to survive yesterday in 90-degree heat at 340 pounds with the things that I need to do.
Right.
I would still be recovering right now from yesterday
Yeah.
had I not. I was able to get home and had a sea moss popsicle and the curry, the curry chickpeas and 8 hours of sleep and I'm good to go.
Yeah. And that it just it just makes me smile to hear that where it's just like, man, that feels good because here recently I've relocated and I think I drove home from South Georgia to North Georgia to go see my mom and pick up a package I needed to have. It could only be shipped up there. So it's like almost 5 hours driving up, spend the night, do some work around the house, and then turn around and drive back in order to record a podcast I scheduled yesterday. And just trying to like stay awake, take breaks along the way, and just being like, okay, tired, tired, tired. And then yesterday, I think I maybe like ran down to Tallahassee. It's maybe like hour 40 minutes from where I'm at, and then from there, like try to catch some fights, UFC fights that were playing, at Wild Wings, and then like left after the first round of the last. I was like, I kind of know how it's gonna go, but I need to get in bed. And it's like waking up this morning at maybe like 8 o'clock, 7:30 after getting in about midnight or a little bit after midnight. I was like, that felt good.
Yeah,
Like about 6 hours of sleep, I was like, that felt good.
yeah,
And it's like even rediscovering naps and being like, oh yeah, like I can take a nap. I don't have to go run around. Or if I find myself just doing a little bit extra, it's like you got too many things in your hands. Like put that stuff down, step back, take a breath, and just be like, okay, we can reset. You don't have to like just keep running, and running on empty. And it's like, oh yeah, yeah, this isn't this isn't working. So I can stop. So being able to see that you express that and seeing from where you came to where now you're in the gym, you're getting out in your community, you're involving your family, you and your family are communicating to where it's okay, if this works and this, sure, we go forward with it. If it's not working, hey, it's not working. And then you kind of regroup and go from there. That's good to see.
you know, in youth sports, you have coaches that pull a kid every time they make a mistake.
Mm,
And so it makes us apprehensive about making mistakes. And so
right.
we're scared to take risks, we're scared to try things and fail at them because we feel like, okay, if we try and fail and make the mistake, I'm gonna have to sit on the bench.
Mm,
But in life, man, you can make a mistake and recover from that mistake.
true.
You can mess something up and get a chance to do it over again. And especially if you surround yourself with the right type of coaches.
Mm,
Actually, we've talked openly about some of the mistakes I've made in my life, both privately and then also on the prayer line.
mm,
And man, one of the greatest things about the prayer line is I made mistakes prior to that I revealed to you guys. I made mistakes while on the prayer line that I revealed to you guys.
mm,
Nobody told me I had to sit down and stop being a father.
right.
No one said, man, you can no longer be a husband. No one
Mm,
said you can no longer minister to people. You can no longer be a PA announcer. You can no longer do this or that. They said, okay, let's fix it.
yeah.
Yeah, you made this mistake, but we're not expecting for you to make this mistake again. If you
Right.
make another mistake, it better be something different.
Yeah.
You can learn from this and go be better. And man, it's great to have people that say, okay, you made a mistake, but let's move on. It's
Yeah.
great to have people that will encourage you. And
Right.
so I definitely appreciate the relationships that I've made. And man, just being able to recover, being able to physically recover
Mm,
from whatever happened,
yeah.
to be able to say, my body can be better.
Yeah.
And let me do some things to take care of that. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And as we're looking forward into going into a new month, what what are some of the things you're looking forward to?
We talked about it a little bit earlier, the start of football season.
Mm,
My Santa season kicks off here pretty quickly.
mm,
I was talking to my wife today about making sure that we've got all the equipment and tools that we need and pulling some things out and testing things and make sure that they're ready to go. As far as sets and making sure chairs look the way they're supposed to do. Got to pull out my Santa suit and make sure that it's ready to go, so
mm,
it's picture ready and those types of things. We begin already to work on the Taste of Clarksville 2025.
wow.
And so just kind of move into those things. And then our daughter's a senior this year, and so we've got senior year and all the things that go along with that. Prom and senior photos and college decisions and those types of things. And so that's what we look forward to as we go into this next month. It's a great time.
Mm.
And so yeah, we're excited about it.
So you're looking forward to sending your little one out into the world,
Don't
out
say
of the
that.
nest.
Don't say
My
that. Don't
bad.
say that. Now, man, we're excited about whatever she has planned for next. She spent some time at a Christian college this summer.
Mm,
Spent a week at Lipscomb University, and
mm,
she said something on the way home. She's like, "Now, I didn't think about the value of a Christian education,
mm,
but now that after being here for this week, I'm reevaluating that, and that may be something that becomes more of a priority on my college list." And I thought that was interesting. The good thing about Lipscomb and my wife is so excited about it. It's just an hour away,
yeah.
whereas some of her other options are take a plane ride.
Mm,
This is just a drive around the corner. So that's encouraging to hear that she's bumped up a school that's close to home around the corner
Yeah,
on her list. So
gotcha. And then your son's older or younger?
our son is older. Our
Gotcha.
son will be 22. He's here at home with us, doing great things. He's in retail and
Mm,
retail management. He's doing amazing things. His first year of college was during the COVID year, and
mm,
so that kind of soured his taste on college. It was a little different time,
right.
but he's doing great. He's an amazing kid.
That's
We
what's up.
love him, and I can see him compared to other kids his age, and man, he's miles and miles and miles ahead.
That's good. It's good to know that like there's still good things going on. Like new kids are coming up, and it's like it just makes you smile when you see like younger people. I mean, I'm not that much older, but it's like
Yeah,
it makes you smile when you see other people move around with a little bit of a lightness to
yeah,
them, and it's like okay, like those times that felt like hell or just like we kind of talked about winter a little bit, and I guess
yeah,
some people may have like seasonal depression. Maybe I've felt that in the past, but it's like being able to come out of that, getting into the spring now into the summer season. You're like, okay, if I was able to make it through 30 or so winters, it's like it can't all be that bad. And I'm sure
yeah,
there's better ways that you can go about it, and you can it's a season, and
yeah.
being able to kind of remind yourself that okay, like life happens in seasons, and good seasons will come and they will go, bad seasons will come and they'll go. So it's like try not to hang on to something too much so to where it's like this has to be a forever thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise you might paralyze yourself trying to control the things you can't really control.
Seasons change, Asher.
Hmm,
Seasons change. I think that's something that we kind of take. So whether you're up or down, it's going to change in about 90 days, right?
very
And so
true.
you have to just be prepared for that change and roll with it, and you make adjustments. I've been doing a little research on the way people eat, and
Hmm,
people eat differently. People who are in tune with their season and in tune with their climate, they eat differently based upon different times of year. So
hmm,
while you may eat a salad in the summer, you may turn that salad into a soup in the winter.
all right.
Because you need a warmer food, when it's cold outside. So, as seasons change, we might need to adjust. We may need to connect more with people,
Hmm,
more with our core group during times where we're feeling a little down,
yeah,
and maybe we can give off a little bit more light during times when we're taking in more light from the sun.
yeah. I mean, to that point, like you talk about being a part of a men's group, or even being able to just check in with one other guy and either bare your heart to someone or just be able to share what's on your mind and not feel judged. It's like sometimes there's like some fear or trepidation into, I think I'm supposed to have it all together. The world
Yeah,
says, like, hey, you get out of high school, you need to know your career, you need to be moving so far in life, and do your best to add to the world, put in more to it than what you took out. But it's welcoming to connect with you guys again and to just be like, hey, like you almost come in apologizing, like, hey, sorry, I missed this. And it's like, you don't need to apologize. It's like, we're happy you're here. What's going on?
yeah,
And it's
yep,
like, okay, let's it's kind of like you get assigned homework, but at the same time, it's like it's a method to the madness of saying, hey, here's an opportunity for you to participate and participate in a way that's catered to you, to where we're not asking you to go outside of yourself and to do something extraordinary, but it's like you will get to do extraordinary things by bringing more of yourself to the table and being able
yeah,
to sit around, say, like a proverbial or metaphorical campfire and talk with other men that may be younger, older, different demographics, different cultures, different things that you maybe not thought about, but at the same time, similar things where it's like you can think about the same stories, joke about cultural events or things that you can all kind of like relate to and be like, oh yeah, that is funny. And then you develop like your inside jokes and different things like that. It's is heartwarming to remember and be like, oh yeah, I'm not alone in this life thing.
yeah.
And it reminds you like as hard as things feel at times, and like I've heard it said over and over that a lot of men start to doubt themselves, especially when you're like in your mid 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, like those periods of time when you feel like you should have something together, but it just doesn't seem like it's working out. Like getting around a group of men or getting around other guys that may be wiser or have been through some other stuff or something similar to you, it lets you know that this whole lone wolf status as a guy isn't, it's not really the way to go.
You know, BK, our moderator for the prayer call, he often says, "Look, just bring yourself.
Yeah.
I need you to bring yourself. The other brothers online need you to bring yourself."
Mm,
And then he always says something else to me that makes me feel good. You're still God's man.
mm,
Doesn't matter. You're still God's man. Even if you're David and you sleep with Bathsheba and you kill Uriah, you're still God's man. And that's powerful for me.
yeah.
Because I've never made those sins. I've never slept with Bathsheba. I've never killed Uriah, but I'm still God's man, right? I can
Mm,
still be God's man. So that's important for me to remember.
that's a good point. Well, I won't keep you too much longer. I always like to keep things kind of wrapped up short and sweet, but thank you so much for this opportunity and thank you for your time today. One question I'd like to ask you, or two questions: how can people get in touch with you, and where are you on social media?
So on Facebook, I'm Shedrich Webster, ShedrichWebster. Just like the dictionary if you're old enough to have held one of those. On Instagram, I'm the real SD Webster. And that's the best way you can connect with me there. I answer all inbox messages if as long as they're appropriate. Something inappropriate, I'll probably just ignore it and block you and move on from there. Won't put you on blast or anything like that. But if you got any way you want to connect with me about anything, man, just reach out. Whether you need a Santa in your area or you want some connections and some information about food truck life or event organizing, just reach out to me. Again, on Facebook is Shedrick Webster. On Instagram, the real SD Webster.
Awesome. And correction, three questions.
Okay.
Lastly, I'll ask you the first question I asked you. Are you are you still who you said you were?
Yeah, I'm still a man growing.
Mm,
I'm still a man growing. And I pray I'll get to grow for at least 40 to 50 more years.
nice. I hope so too.
Thanks, Hasha.
Thank you for
Appreciate
your
it, man.
time,
I've
Shedrick.
enjoyed this time.
Me too. This was fun.
Mm-hmm.